Hello and welcome to How to rapAmod. Okay, we got the Smock XCube2. There you go, and a wrap to go on it. Been a right pain in the ass this has. Right, there's a few issues with mine. I don't know if you can see it, but the battery door hangs over. It's not level. It actually hangs over. There's a gap. It sits inside there and it's flush there. It's loose, as I think everyone's appears to be, but yeah, there you go. Scratches on it that I haven't done, but that's just the way it is. Right, the wrap, there it is. You've got your fire bar just there, and there is your battery door, and you'll see the tolerance I've gave around it, and that is 1/2 mil tolerance to try and keep the gaps to a minimum, but this really isn't easy to fit. You'll see, but here we go. Alright, first of all, what I've been doing is fit the battery door, nice and easy. Now your battery is up that way, so make sure you take this panel off and just remember which way up it goes. Right, to fit this, just tuck it right down into the bottom corner so that you're level with the bottom. Level it up along the sides. Just check to see if you've got any overhang, and you don't want any overhang at all. So I'm just going to pull it up a fraction, just so that there's no overhang at all. There's a little bit there. And if you have got any overhang, it'll catch as you prune it in and out and start to pucker up. And just level that up there. There we go, no overhang, nothing. So smooth it down. Around that curve, just firm pressure, pushing it round. If you want to, you can put a bit of heat on it if you need to, but I don't appear to need any. Right. You will notice on this edge there is a gap. You can get rid of that gap if you want by moving away from this edge, but I've left that so that when it's on, if you can, here we go, so that when it's on and this bit is on, there's very little chance of it catching or catching here. I mean, because mine sticks out, I don't know if everyone's sticks out, so I've had to work off what mine is, and I don't know what yours is going to be like. There's a few people saying that their battery doors are perfect, they haven't got a problem, and there's lots of others that have got problems. So I've kept it away from this, because if it's too close, as you push it in, it'll pucker up, and you don't want that happening. If you think there is too much of a gap there, when you're putting it on, just have a tiny gap this side. Tell you what, I'll show you. Right, So if I just take this off, and just move over so I've got the tiniest of gap there, and now do exactly the same here. Have the tiniest of gaps there, and now put it back down like that. Now I don't know if you can see very well, but there is very little gap there, and there is a tiny gap there. If you level with it, the gap that you end up with is probably 1/2 mil. So even though the camera makes it look a lot sometimes, it isn't. But there we go. Just make sure that there's nothing which there isn't, and that's that done. To be honest, that's the easiest bit. Right, let's put that out the way for now. Right, this bit, I'm going to stick some light on. Looks like it's going to rain again. That's right. Well, I said that was easy. There is one more easy bit which we'll do now, and your fire bar. If you peel that off, right, make sure you've got your mod the right way up, you've got the wrap the right way up to the mod. Now just simply tuck this down into the bottom, right to the edge of the fire bar, line it up along that edge, and just make sure that you are level. There, if you look down the gap there, you can see if you're overhanging or not, and that appears to be okay. If you pull this round, you should be able to see if you're running level. And I don't know if these bars are slightly skewish, but no matter how I try, there always seems a slightly bigger gap one side compared to the other, and it's along the bottom, because I'll line up along the bottom, and I've got a tiny gap there, and as I come round it's just a bit more of a gap, and you keep adjusting it and moving, and it's strange. Yeah, but there you go, the XCube2, that's what you get in it. Alright, there we go. I'll just get that gap as even as I can. Now, firm pressure as you're pushing it around, and if you look down it, there is a tiny gap there, which means I must be overhanging slightly, and I am. So I'm overhanging slightly that edge, which has caused a gap there, which means I have to adjust it. That is one of the problems with this, you can't see that well. Yeah, and the lighting in here probably ain't helping, so if you do it and you've got good light, you'll probably do it a lot easier than what I am. But I've really struggled with this device, to be honest. I don't know why. There. I'm definitely right on the edge there now. So smooth it round again. It's working from the centre edge. And smooth that down. and around. And there we go. It's on. Right. Now then, the hard part. Right. How have I been doing this? Right. You turn your mod upside down so you've got the top facing you. Peel off the main section carefully, as you will notice there is a tiny little strip there. Right. Now, what you want to do is, wherever you're doing this, you'll have to make sure it's dust free, because you've got this flappy bit which will just grab any dust that's around. With it upside down, I've been pushing it up to the bottom. This is the bottom of the mod, so I've been pushing it into that corner, making sure it's not overlapping, and I want to be right on the edge of that, so I can barely see any of the mod. And this is the hard part, because if you are a fraction off with this bit, as you get round the back, it's mad. Right, just double checking, make sure that I can barely see any mod along that edge there, where your lights come on there. Come on, where your lights come on. Right, make sure now fractionally over, just a tiny smidgen, but I'm going to leave that because there's a thing going on the bottom, another panel on the bottom, so hopefully that will compensate. But I could have done with going slightly higher, but now we need to smooth this round, and you should have a fraction of a gap before it hits the battery compartment. Now this is where it gets tricky. You need to, this top bit, if you keep the rest of the wrap up, just level it so that you've got a nice even gap to the top side of the battery compartment. And just tease it. That's all you need to do. Is just tease it. And then, I mean, you've got to be very careful of this little bit here, and just working your way down this side of the battery compartment. Just gentle pressure, that's all I'm doing. Right. Now, don't push that little bit down yet. I'm just getting this where we want it, and that seems fine. Now just push it this little bit, you bring your nail up against the inside edge. You can't see any of this, and you're making sure that this bit is away from that edge. So I'm just pushing it down and making sure that it is away from the battery compartment with a nice little bit. I mean, it's a fraction of a gap that's there, because if you remember when it was on here, there was 1/2 mil tolerance, so you should have 1/4 mil there and 1/4 mil there, around about 1/4 mil there, and the same there. And that is how precise you have to be with this. I could have done with being slightly away from the edge, you know, a fraction. I mean, it looks like I've got just over 1/4 of a mil there, so I could have slightly done with coming this way, but that's what I'm saying. This, you know, mod to rap is a nightmare, or it has been for me anyway. Some people tend to, you know, just chuck them on and they look perfect. Me, I'll try and take my time, try and get them, you know, to look good, and just end up losing my rag. But there you go, that is on. So now we put our battery compartment on and click it in, well, sort of click it, you know, whatever it does, you know, spring it into place, whatever. You will see that you've got a very fine gap all around it. On the back there is more of a gap, and there's no way I can get rid of it because it's just going to end up catching, and because on mine anyway that sticks over, you know, it sticks out. If I can get this right, it doesn't shut down level, you know, it sticks out. So this, you know, if I come right to the edge, it's just going to emphasize it and make it worse. And yeah, anyway, I mean, the gap that's there, I mean, you've got your 1/4 of a mil tolerance. The gap that's, it's less than 1/2 mil gap, you know, altogether. So it just, the camera is showing it up, so it looks a massive gap, but that's the way it is. Yeah, so it doesn't look too bad, to be honest. Quite like that. Yeah, better than it was anyway. Right, the top section. All I've been doing is line up the control buttons so that they're central within that cutout, if you can. Just central within the cutout for them, and just centralize the rest, smooth it down, and there we go. That's that bit. Alright, the bottom. With the bottom just up against the edge with the upgrading port. Just line it up with both edges, and then down we go. Right, this little bit I've left, like I've left one on there, so I'll take that off so you can see me put this on. Right, what I've been doing is just get my scalpel with it on, line it up, get it round about where you want it. I mean, that bit no one's gonna see, but there you go, it's on there. Right, the front. On top. There you go. Ooh, it looks a lot better, I've got to admit. Feels better. Of course, you know, scratches, the wrap kind of hides a little bit where it dips in there. You don't tend to notice it so much. It seems to emphasize that bit. You know, it makes that bit look worse where it sticks out, but maybe yours don't stick out so it won't look so bad. Yeah, but yeah, if I close that up, this is just going to hit it and just cause that to start puckering up and won't be any good. But there we go. I'm happy with that. Thank you.